Alrighty, okay.
Why? I just thought
No,
everybody
would
was
you mind
coming.
closing that door? No?
Yeah,
Would you mind shutting the
nobody
door? Thank you. We'll call the Ways and Means meeting to order. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderman Vaccaro.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Hubbard.
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy.
Here.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Muhammad. Alderman Oldenburg.
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd. Here. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Chairman Vollmer.
Present.
6 present, you have quorum.
Thank you very much, Sharita. I don't see any minutes to approve before us. Or maybe I've got so much wonderful paperwork in front of me, I can't see them.
I see the agenda. But
Here the minutes, here the minutes.
Okay.
I see
So,
agendas.
We'll move to approve the meetings for the meeting of May 29th and May 30th.
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, I didn't get that.
We'll wait for the excuse of Alderman until the end of the meeting. And we will go back to Board Bill number 1, where we left off. We had amendments turned into us. If anyone has any further ones they want to turn in today, we can do that. But we had, I believe, 5 turned into us, and one of the 5 was not possible for us to do in relation to the one position. But what we had recommended by Alderman Vaccaro and Alderman Muhammad was Amendment 1, proposed of the Office of Special Events, of eliminating the office. Before you, I was sent there's information as to what the Office of Special Events actually does. There's a lengthy little thing. If you folks aren't aware of it, I think we have them all in front of you.
I do now, yeah.
Yeah. Where we're at, thank you, is, I believe the budget for that office is $212,000, is that correct? Okay. And I believe Ms. Chance is retiring July 1st. She's been in the office for quite some time. And looking at it, the office is something, well, everything is going on outside today is one of the things this office does. I don't know if, when you have all these out-of-town things come in and to coordinate and do these things, I believe there'll be a reduction in salary if the office is kept with a new director. I believe it could be done with a smaller salary, but reading over and talking to not just the office but other people who deal with it over the weekend, I tried to look into it, and it's a pretty necessary position. We might think it isn't, but it could be funded probably for $25,000 to $30,000 less a year also. And I don't know how that sits with you, but I'll let you proceed, Alderman Vaccaro.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can change mine to take from that budget. If you're saying it can be done 30,000 less, let's take 30,000 out of the budget. I'm just trying to find
No,
money.
so am I.
So you can do it down there, but change my amendment
So
to let's take 40,000 out of it.
well, you can ask for 40 and we'll see what we get back.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we take that out of the budget, it stays out.
Yeah.
Then it stays out of the budget. Now, if anybody feels otherwise, like we should just eliminate it, then I would say let's put it back in that way too.
Well, we'll put it around the room and we'll start with Alderman Howard. If you have any questions of the sponsor of the amendment, Mr. Vaccaro, are you okay with a $40,000 reduction? Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Hubbard.
I know it's a very necessary position, definitely with all the events and stuff we have taking place in the city, but I didn't offer that amendment, but I had some conversations with a few other people regarding it, and it was brought up that I don't know if we're gonna cut it or if we are thinking about what can be done with the excess money. There was a conversation about it possibly going up under excise, which would give them additional support staff, which they need, and then that probably can go hand in hand and do some of those duties. That's just a thought.
You're talking about moving the office to excise out of BPS, but keeping the office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you could probably get 2 or 3 staff people for that amount of money that they handle, because right now it's just 2 people and it's like $200 and some thousand.
Yeah, and I think it'd be, actually, we're talking about actually, you know, reducing it down to like a budget of 170.
That was just a thought.
Okay, well. We're just, Alderman Davis, Alderman Clark, we're discussing as amendment number 1, the Office of Special Events.
Right. We got something in front of us.
There's a list of everything that the office actually does. It's been proposed, as opposed to eliminating the office, that cutting their budget by $40,000. Ms. Chance is retiring July 1st. They'll be not requiring her high salary apparently when training someone else to do the job, but keeping the office with the person. Alderman Hubbard has proposed maybe rolling that office into the Excise Commission out of Board of Public Service. I don't know how that would work, but
I'll share a couple of things, my thought on this.
certainly.
Because the excise division is an integral part of the process with special events anyway, I would suggest that we take that budget and put it in excise. Excise then can take the opportunity to have additional assistance that's needed there anyway. All of our one-day picnic comes out of excise. Excise gets involved. If you're having an event, you need a liquor license. They work with the street department anyway with all these various events. So to me, just take that whole budget and put it in excise.
Okay.
Well, my amendment is to take 40,000 out of that budget.
He's proposing to leave it where it's at and take $40,000 off the budget.
Oh, I was just giving my opinion.
No,
I'm not
it don't
trying to-
matter where we
yeah.
put it.
Yeah.
I'm just, you didn't hear this one?
I understand.
My amendment's only to take 40,000, so we can start to build toward putting money back other places. And even if you move it to excise, moving 190,000 is still a pretty good chunk of change to send over. And Ian Chance is retiring, so like Alderman Baumer said, you know, we can reduce that salary. So taking 40,000 out shouldn't really hurt them too much.
Oh, you were taking 40,000 out to go somewhere else?
Just,
Yeah,
well, to
just
put
take-
into,
yeah.
so we build up.
We're trying to build a pot
And
up.
then we'll do the.
So we're talking about leaving the Office of Special Events intact.
Well,
cutting
even
the
if you
budget.
take the 40,000 out and send the rest to excise, I think the 2 positions he was talking about could be filled, and even that other person that's in special
Well, no,
events could still be there.
I agree,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Okay.
I was just saying that rather than take it out altogether, after
Right.
reading all this,
right.
and with Ann Chance leaving, and a new person coming in, or even going to excise, it's not gonna hurt him to take 40,000, and 40,000 could be, it's the 40s and the 30s and the 20s that will add up.
Yeah, because you
To-
still
to
need
take
the
care of
money
what
for
we need.
communications too. Okay, I'm good.
That's,
Okay. All right, Alderman Murphy, any thoughts on this?
I guess maybe what Alderman Hubbard said, perhaps, like I said, you know, putting it in another office. I would imagine, it would be nice to have a person that can coordinate all these things. You know, when you look at all this, I would imagine most of this, I know because I've dealt with the special events office, it requires closing of streets, so they have to, coordinate with streets. Parks, if something's in the park, they coordinate with the park schedule about if it's okay if they're there and things like that. And I don't know what, if any, business they have with excise, but I do know that, most things involve selling, some kind of alcohol and even food, So I guess they would help the person, tell the person who to call to get the food. And so, yeah, I think combining it with another, with excise or something might be a good idea. Have we talked to the excise commissioner?
We have, but it's just one under Board of Public Service for that reason. They just shifted this year for the first time.
Right.
To BPS, so I don't know,
Because it needed oversight.
and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if maybe he's cutting the budget this time around and let BPS have a year or so with it and see what happens with it, might be
They didn't want it.
well,
They didn't want it.
Who didn't want
BPS.
They didn't really
Yeah,
want
they
it.
didn't want
But the office needed some oversight.
but
So-
Andy, the only thing that really in front of us is the 40,000. If we're gonna put it in excise, what we have to do is another amendment to take 100% of the money out of
Of there and put
there,
it,
and then put 100% of the money into wherever you want it to go. So the amendment right now is just, all I'm asking is 40,000, and if we wanna get it to excise, the way we would do it is we just need another cut of
Take
the
the
whole
balance.
budget and a putback into, which can easily be turned down across the hall.
okay. Well,
But I am in favor of having someone perhaps coordinate all that for someone that's having an event. I know I've done it, and it's nice
Yeah.
when I can tell somebody just to call special events.
Well, and what's occurring out here, you have NBC Sports and NHL coming into town, and you're gonna chase them all around every office. You need
Right,
someone, you
right.
need due to the amount of national events and sometimes international events we have, you know, especially, we need to keep, I
We
believe,
need to
central
keep
office,
something
yes.
there, and not even for giant things, just for things that happen in our parks on a
Sure.
regular basis and things.
Okay.
But, or maybe even the mayor's office, I don't know, wherever we think.
Okay.
But I do think it'd be nice to have a body, even if it's just one body.
Sure.
To coordinate that.
Okay, thank you very much. Alderman Oldenburg, any thoughts?
No, not with what else has been said. I'm fine,
Okay,
thanks.
all right. Alderman Boyd, any thoughts on this?
No,
please?
I'm kind of in agreement. I guess my frustration is when people, to me, I'm looking at that as a one-stop shop. And so you have to keep going all these different departments. I think that's a frustration.
Sure,
So
no.
me thinking, if it goes under excise, then it's somebody that's overseeing it to make sure it's not jumping all around. When people make requests, that's the frustration I have, when they give requests and then they have to go to different departments.
Okay,
So I'm in agreement with the cutting the 40,000 for the.
all right, okay. Alderman Clark Hubbard?
I agree with that.
All right. Okay, maybe, it would seem like the cutting the $40,000 you all agreed to, it's under the auspices of BPS right now.
Right.
I think we might agree that to give them a year ride with it, and as their oversight committee, I don't know how you feel about that, but if this would be an easier amendment to do, and get that $40,000 into a pot that we can use. But we can, it's up to you, this is your amendment,
I
sir.
would ask that we take a vote on it.
Okay.
I mean, and then it's either gonna pass or fail.
Okay. Amendment number 1 as proposed is merely cutting the special events office budget by $40,000 at this time. Sharita, please take a roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Yes. Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
All right.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Ballmer.
Aye.
8 aye votes.
All right, hearing that, we've passed out Amendment 1 with a due pass recommendation to cut the special events office by $40,000.
So that gives us 40,000. Take that somewhere
Okay, get your pencils out.
Somebody,
else. Well, that is-
dear, he's writing everything down.
so we're gonna-
All right, Amendment number 2, proposed by Alderman Vaccaro and Alderman Muhammad, is in regard to the building commissioners. And we're talking about reducing the building demo fund by $300,000 to add door-to-door inspections back into the mix of their duties. Alderman Vaccaro?
Okay, so, we're wording it wrong. I mean, me and Don worded it wrong. Because we would have to put where it's gonna go on another sheet, but right now, we're looking for $300,000 to be cut from the demo fund. Our intention on it to put back is gonna be for the inspectors.
Okay.
But for now, we're asking for, because we had to keep $300 million in, and we got $380 million.
There's $3.8 million in the building division budget. The requirement by law is $3 million that we have. There's actually another pool that raises up to $4.5 million. So at this point, taking the $300,000, this amendment basically is reducing the demo budget by $300,000.
$300,000.
Okay,
Which again, we're still gonna be over $7 million in demo.
that's correct. All right.
And I don't think it affects anything in the
Okay.
law within our.
We'll open the discussion then. Are you open to
No.
questions or discussion
No, I'm
from the
open for
panel?
questions,
All right.
sure.
Alderman Davis?
I can't see cutting demolition under any circumstances. We have it looks like worse than any third world country you watch on TV. We have got to, if anything, I want to find another $1 million to put in it.
And I understand that. I'm just trying to find money for, there's no way there, I mean, it's still over double what we've done in the past. There's still gonna be over $700 million in demo, which is not all gonna get done this year. They're not gonna get some, you know, and that money could be used. But it's just an opinion. I mean, I'm not asking for, I just put that out there.
All right. Anything further, Alderman Davis?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice. Alderwoman Hubbard?
I guess I'm concerned about, where we are with demos, and if, I know the need is probably great for us to, use that money, but if in fact we are using, or if it's something in our process that's keeping us from using it as much as we should, then, that's a question that I have. But if, we're looking to try to find 300,000, and this amendment is just to take that out, then I can see supporting it, but I do not support putting it with the building division and
Right.
having those extra inspectors, because I think the process regarding it can disproportionately impact people in North St. Louis
Well,
if it's not structured properly.
And I agree, and that's why I said we worded it wrong. It's just a takeout. That money actually, so far we got 40,000 to the plus side. If we had, I'll have 340,000 to the plus side. The question is, and I know demolition is very important, but are there other things that we might really need to prioritize? And given the amount of money that's going into demolition, I mean, it's a large amount, more than we've ever done. That 300,000 just, and I'm fine either way. I bet, it seems to me like that 300,000 isn't gonna be that missed and won't be used, because there's no way they're gonna get over 7 million done. And if we can put that 300,000 into, of course, my heart's with the fire stuff, and other people with the computers over, and we all have what we feel we want to get. And listening to everybody, it seems like we're going to have to come up with $1 million or better from somewhere. So this is just a thought, and it doesn't hurt my feelings either way.
I can guarantee you no one here is worried about your feelings, sir.
Yeah, don't take it personally.
So my next question, Joe, where's the love?
Yeah.
Okay,
As you
so,
close that door, it's out there.
so we're just, no, that's right. If we're just adding to the pot, I can support the 300,000 coming out, so that's 340,000 that we try
Well, if
to
it
sacrifice.
If it passes.
If it passes,
Okay.
okay.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy, any thoughts on the process here?
Yeah, I think it'd be all right. Like I said, we don't use all the money anyway. And often, and it's only for a year, we might as well try it. I'm in favor of the door-to-door inspection, so we don't get to the point that things have to be demolished. Every citizen should be responsible for keeping their house up. And I think if you get it when it's a smaller, take, it's easier to fix than if you let it, get really
Sure.
bad. And I think a lot of the reasons there's money left over in the demo dolls, it's not because we don't have the money, it's because they're held up legally.
Sure.
The things are held up legally because of the ownership, because of the LRA, because of that. It's not because the money's not there. I have houses I can't get torn down just because of the legality
Red
of
tape.
everything. So, so
Okay.
I think I'm okay.
All right, thank you. Alderman Oldenburg, any thoughts?
I'm also, I think I would agree with Alderwoman Murphy here and echo those sentiments if there were a vote on this.
All right. Alderwoman Boyd?
I'm struggling with the door-to-door because in the North Quarter, we have a lot of seniors. And so it's like a catch-22. In one hand, you have the slum landlords that's not doing anything that needs to be enforced, or the absentee landlords. But in a ward that has over 75% seniors, and people keep saying they can go to Healthy Home, and it's waiting lists, so these seniors can't get the help that they need, so that's the struggle I have. I just don't think that $300 will make or break the building division demolition piece, but I'm just nervous about my seniors. That's my big thing.
It could be a point of tailoring the program to maybe even go after more so the vacant properties than in certain wards, granting extensions to people in need, that, you know, there's a healthier home repair list, because I've been through the before where, you know, it's just, they call up and people call me 6 months later, say, I'm still on the list, I'm still on the list.
Right, and that's my fear.
But, you know, we have the power to request extensions, you know, from the inspectors to help people out in situations like that also. I think if we maybe tailor the program to that, and wards with a specific problem of more vacant properties than that we maybe target those first, actually, as far as and leave the inhabited properties alone. But I think that's something that can be worked out.
Yeah, and that's just my concern. You know, I don't have a problem with the
The
door to door. It's
okay.
just I don't
Alright.
want to.
But this money doesn't go to the door to door.
Well, not yet.
No.
It would have to take a
Right.
whole nother amendment.
Right now, this amendment is merely,
He
we're
just wants to
taking
take it out.
$300,000 out of
Sit it
the
aside.
demolition.
I think that's
Yeah.
It
We
isn't
fine.
going anywhere.
Okay,
We
all right.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with taking it out, but I also have the same
All right.
concerns, so.
Okay. Sharita, please call a roll on amendment number 2 to reduce the building demolition budget by $300,000.
Alderwoman Davis,
Let me pass for a second.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes, aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Odenberg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Palmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
That's 8 aye votes.
Okay, so amendment number 2 passes out with a due pass, going to reduce the building demolition budget by $300,000, which people keeping score is $340,000 on the side.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I'm still feeling like the new kid. If they don't use the money, it rolls over, right?
You're talking about the
In
demolition
the
budget? Yes,
uh-huh.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's earmarked for that and that only. Yeah,
Okay.
they can't go out and throw a Christmas party or anything.
That's a good thing. Thank you.
Not listening.
Right.
Let's not turn any buildings down, we're gonna go out and have a party. No,
Okay.
that's not gonna happen. Okay. Proposed amendment number 3 from Alderman Vaccaro is in regard to the recorder of deeds. You're talking now, is it $70,000?
It ain't even.
It's not, there's,
We're gonna deal with that.
it just says recorder information 70 on your,
Yeah, what page does it show?
161 is where you
Yeah,
you had it marked at, sir.
So when we go, if we go to page 161, what I was looking for, in fact, in multiple departments, but what I'm looking for was things that had never been funded in the past. And then all of a sudden, a position shows up, and it's out of the 1010,
What's that?
let me, what page
161, which book are you in?
Yeah, on, it has to be the line item.
So it's an informational systems
Yeah, it's
manager.
the third one down.
No, it's
No?
more than
Well,
that.
that's what it says, information system.
It looks like the 8th one down.
Oh, okay, recorder information, recorder information.
It's one, I'm very familiar with that office, but it's one that they've never had before. And it's one that all of a sudden was put in to the tune of $70,000. And again, and my issue is I'm just trying to find money because the fire department needs money for medicine, needs money, when they go out on the scene. It's not gonna hurt my feelings again either way. Right now, all I'm trying to do is, all my cuts
New money.
are just looking to find money to add to.
There's no new money.
And so, it just seems like it was an unfunded position in the past, one that's never been funded that I'm aware of. one that was created and put in to the tune of $70,000. And I think that money could be better used elsewhere. It's an opinion. You know, and again, you know, if we cut this position, we're gonna be up to 410,000. And it's just a bit, you know, it's just a building process. Whether we cut it or not, if we don't cut it, then
So, okay, well,
860.
Alderman Davis, any questions of the sponsor?
Well, I just noticed that with their overall budget, it basically is still the same as it has been for the last 3 years. So it looks like they eliminated 2 positions and created another position, and the position that's created
and actually,
appears to be in management, and there's new leadership, and that's a decision that they made.
well, okay, and again, make sure their budget's.
So if you look at the budget, you've got for FY 2019, it was 1.811, and so for 20 is 1.860. And if you have the difference there, it's not like they added a lot of money to their budget.
No, about 50,000.
Yeah, or
And-
35 really. Yeah.
Well, I don't have,
Yeah.
11 to 60, about 50, 48 to 50. Well, I mean, again, it's just something to vote on. All I'm trying to do is find money to, you know, so, you know, all I ask everybody is, if you feel that this is just that important of a position, that office can't manage without it, then leave it in. If you think that taking this money and using it elsewhere, whether it's for fire stuff that's close to me, or whether it's the computer system across the street, if you feel that's more important than this position, then, you know, I would say cut it. If you feel that this position, that office isn't gonna be able to operate without this position, leave it in. It's just,
It just seems like they took a responsible approach to it. That's all I'm saying, nothing else.
well, I mean,
Nothing else.
no, I know, it's just a vote. It's just an up or down vote.
Alderman Hubbard, any questions of the sponsor?
We definitely are gonna have to find some money from somewhere. And so I don't know how crucial the position is, so I may be open to it if they can still function as a entity. But I understand how administration's changing, people move money around, and it's not personal at all in any way, but if we're looking for money, then I probably support it.
Can I ask the chairman,
Yes, sir.
do we have time? Usually we call people in to defend their budget because there's been cuts and things made.
Mhm.
Do we have time? Can we put this on hold and bring up?
Yeah, it might be better, what, that was when I got around to me, I was going to mention that, where you're talking about cutting a position from a department, we'd have to find out what 3 positions were eliminated, why this position was created, you know,
Well, I'm for putting this on hold if we
Okay.
can have a return. I'm not
Okay.
trying to hurt anybody's, I'm just trying to, my whole thing in this, I've been trying to find the money that we.
All right, well, we'll take amendment number 3 and put it on the back burner for right now,
Okay.
and we'll proceed to, amendment number 4 was eliminated actually last Thursday because that was something we could not do. So the new amendment number 4 is from Alderwoman Spencer and Alderwoman Howard, but I think this actually was the same thing we just did with, I think both of you introduced the same kind of amendment. This is, because this is removing, reducing the budget from 3.8 to 3.5, I'm guessing from the demo budget. That's
I
something
think
we've
that's
already
what
done.
they were talking
Okay,
about.
so that's, we've already done that.
Seems so.
Okay, does anyone have, we have some new introductions today,
I think we got something.
and what we have before us will be the new amendment number 4, and this is from Alderman Boyd. And proposed reduction of $55,016 to reduce the executive assistant to the mayor.
Bold move, girl.
Alderman Boyd, you're on.
My question is, from the previous administration, since the mayor has been in office, we have added 4 positions. And so I'm trying to figure out what is the purpose for 2 administrative assistants to the mayor? The logic behind it. Why do you need 2?
Well,
And since we ponder on, we have a less census. We have less census in the city of St. Louis.
okay. So I guess we would, again, probably have to call someone from the mayor's office in to, I guess, discuss the title. I don't see anyone from the mayor's office here currently to do that. There's Noah, there's Noah.
I don't know if I'm.
Don't put yourself.
I can call Conway or.
I would recommend that, if we can't have them come by. We'll put number 4 in the back burner so they can explain that, I guess, before we go into discussion on it, if that's all right with everyone. Alderman Boyd, you'd like to hear from the office? Okay. Okay, your next one is an increase. We're staying with decreases so far today, so
Right.
we'll table
But I
that.
don't think we can do that because that was from the special events.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we can't,
Okay,
well,
I didn't
We're
know.
making a pot of money over here.
yeah, we're trying to
So
make
how much we got in the pot?
340 at this point. Well,
340?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But we'll stick with the cuts. We'll do the additions
Okay.
after lunch, more than likely.
All right.
Let's create a pot and then steal from it later. Okay. Okay, we are going to, Alderman Oldenburg will be amendment number
Or was there another one? Excise.
5.
5.
Well,
Number 5.
we're not going to do any additions at this point. We'll
Okay.
create them.
So,
Okay. So we'll go with number 5 from Alderman Oldenburg is
Okay.
proposed cut of,
we got 2, so,
Yep.
yeah,
okay.
on page 274,
Yeah,
Fund 1125. So you're talking about reducing, is it 553,900?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the one that's not marked. So that's fleet, the 553900. We'll make that amendment 5. This was the point I brought up at the end of our last meeting, where if you go to page 274, you see we're funding fleet sort of capital costs out of Proposition P. And my suggestion is to have that cut from Proposition P. That, we overwhelmingly tried to sell our constituents for an increase in pay, as well as additional personnel for officers, but particularly around pay and a salary increase, not necessarily fleet. So I think there are other places that can be looked to. So the proposal here is that the police are well overdue in negotiating, in fact, months overdue in negotiating their wage reopener. So they're trying to negotiate salaries right now. The hope is that through this cut, as well as the other one from these Prop P funds, which is an increase in overtime, I'm happy to talk about separately, we can get uniformed officers a $2,000 one-time incentive bonus to hang on until their wage reopener and their contracts get finalized. I think this does 2 things. I think this says we're serious about getting more of a commensurate raise to where county law enforcement officers are, because as you know, it is still woefully short of where county peace officers come in terms of salary. And additionally, I think this is also look, here's a one-time incentive to keep you on until the contract's negotiated, and then we can really maybe talk about long-term sustainable expense control vis-a-vis around their pension system. So these are just proposals that I put forward that I'm happy to talk about and vote on if we could.
Okay, we will open it up with Alderwoman Davis.
So the only thing I want to do is to make sure that we are not going against what the voters voted for. Because I thought some fleet was in that. that there were supposed to be some expenditures for fleet. Who remembers, who can get a copy of that real quick?
Can we get a?
Because the actual ballot information, and I remember discussing this. Did you have a chance to read it?
I did, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say for sure, but I don't think equipment or fleet was listed, at least in the ordinance or the bill proposal.
I sort of thought it was.
I know, I want to say it was. Because every time we pass one of these, we add that in there.
Okay.
That's how they get their new trucks, ambulances, fleet, whenever we do one of those bond proposals. So, let's see.
So what you're saying is that if it's in the ordinance, we leave alone, so we don't have.
If it's in the
to-
ordinance, you can't touch it.
Yeah, we don't let, act
Yeah.
like we're Jefferson City
Yeah,
here.
if it's in the ordinance, you can't touch it. That's the law. So, let's just get a copy of it, make it real
I'm
sure.
okay with that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. They're pulling the ordinance.
Okay.
And they're gonna
Perfect.
dig
I'm
it
just gonna
out.
do it right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
If,
that'll be helpful.
well, that will, because if it is in the ordinance, we're gonna
His now.
drop it. All right. We can put that on the side and go to number 6 if you like.
Yeah, so 6 is in the same vein. Again, I'm trying to, the bogey is $1.8 million to get this one-time incentive bonus. And this was an increase in overtime pay that I'd like to just keep flat at the 760. And that generates another 615,000 on top of, the previous amendment reduction, which gets me to that whole number of the 1.8.
Okay. And again, this is Fund
And again, this is,
125.
this is sort of keeping flat where there was an increase in overtime paid out of property.
And is this, we're in the same
Both of
ordinance?
these are from Prop P you talking about?
Yes.
They're trying to run up the
Okay, so,
language.
Yeah, I don't think we can touch Prop P though.
Well,
Let's see what the
I'm
word
not
Let's
sure
see
that's
what it
right.
said.
I'm
We
not
have
sure
to
that's
see what
right.
the word is.
all right, well, I see Mr. Conway from the mayor's office is here, whether we're having it dug up. Anybody opposed to going back to
No.
Amendment 4.
Oh, he's
Alderwoman Boyd's amendment while we're waiting for it to be pulled up?
here. Yes, sir.
Alderman, Mr. Conway, would you mind taking the hot seat? We have some questions of you. Alderwoman Boyd has amendment number 4, which is proposed to eliminate the $55,016 executive assistant to the mayor position. Alderwoman Boyd, you're on.
The question that I have, Mr. Conway, is, that office has added 4 positions since her election. And now we have, in this position, you have 2 mayor's assistants. And so I'm just trying to get clarity. Since we keep preaching on, we have such a reduction in census, and so why would we increase staff if we have such a reduction in census? Why do we need extra people?
Okay, we're not actually increasing staff. That job belongs to No, and it was Jay's job previously. So we have not replaced Jay, and we have not replaced the Children, Youth, and Families individual yet. And if you look down there in the budget, we've added 55.
The mayor's, yeah, right.
That's page 5.
Page 5, on the line item.
And see, previously, we had Patrick, and we had Christina Garmendia, and we had Nicole Hudson. And on Patrick, we will replace him because the vacancy and the demolitions are so important. But we were able, in the new budget, get 2 groups to help pay for part of the previous job that was filled by Carl Filler. But unfortunately, given the fact that and Todd, you can have a seat, we have way less employees than they had at one time. Part of the problem is right now, Jay leaves for way better money than we can pay. Carl leaves for way better money than we pay, and it's been very difficult, even with getting help to help pay for the one position where they're going to pick up part of the cost. But right now, we're short. From your recent memories, Jay's position, which No has taken over, Carl Filler, which is an important thing, and when I was here before testifying about the equity indicators, that we have to, the greatest area where the most equity indicators will make a difference in people's lives are the young people. So we've trying as hard as we can to get that position filled so that we can begin to implement and look at these baselines. There are a lot of programs out there. We had 2 people come in for a final interview. The best person declining the job, the other person we have to start over again. But and Todd's been here since Mayor Slade was here, but you can just see that.
But, okay, my question, it says executive assistant to mayor, what do they do?
Okay,
The
so
person, what do they do?
If I could, these titles are just, there were personnel sets up for titles. Basically, when we get somebody in here, we have a task for them to do, and we need to fit the salary range to a position to be able to recruit them and get them in here.
But what do they do?
Well, which one are you talking about?
Because
You're
you
not even
got this
fully
one
at-
up here, 5101, then you have this one down here, 5101, so both of them are executive assistants, so what do they do? That's all I'm asking. You have 2 positions that state the same thing. One is 1116 department, the other one is 1010 department. So what do they do?
So as Steve mentioned, just to clarify the department part, that's actually the funding source. So the 1116 will be a grant. That's not general revenue money.
Okay,
That's what
so
Steve
that's
said. They
what I
went out on the
need to
street
know.
and they have grant money for that bottom position.
And this one here comes out of our money.
Correct. The top, the ones that say 1010 are general revenue money.
Okay.
There's 21 positions in there. If you look back, we had 22 positions in there last year. So it's
Okay.
not an increase. There's nothing going up here. And honestly, there's a lot of vacancies there. You can come visit me in my office. We have a lot of empty offices.
I don't want to visit, I'm just trying to figure out, because we're trying to find money. So if you have the positions that haven't been filled, so how long haven't they been filled?
I don't have those. I'm not going to tell you I know that right off the top. I can get back to you.
Okay.
And tell you what's vacant and who's in which one.
Okay.
Because I will admit that it is confusing to know who is who. I mean, it's obvious I'm the director of operations, so that one's a real easy take if you want to take that one. But some of these other titles don't mirror up to
Right.
exactly who
Don't
it
open
is.
that door.
You say what?
I just told him, don't open that
I
door.
was like, say, right, you're right.
My wife's been looking for a way to get me home for a while, so.
but to put it in perspective, you all know Jay, he just, quit. We forced Noah into this position and took him away from special projects for now. We will have to get that position filled. The Director of Youth, Family, and Children absolutely is an important position to get filled. Like I said, I worked the whole process to get down the final 2 candidates, and that was 9 days ago. And after all that time we put in to get it, and we went out and searched. And then Patrick Brown, what we're doing with the vacant properties and the demos and the coordinating of that, Patrick has to be replaced. Because it's an important program that we're running in the city. And so each of these things, we are looking for persons. We have to kind of start over, now that I've got Noah here. I'm not such an urgency to replace what Noah used to be doing. But we have things backing up on some of the projects. But I have to get up and running and get more information out on our demos and our vacancies. You gotta understand, last year in 2018, we more than doubled how many vacant properties. And
You
I
did.
know,
You did.
and that took a lot of effort to coordinate that and get all the contractors up and running. But each of these positions, we have everybody covering.
So this grant, you're looking for somebody for the grant to fill that position?
Right.
Okay, so you'll give me the information? Thank you,
Who's in what?
thank you.
All right, so Alderman Barr, you wanting to continue with this amendment, or do you feel that they've explained it to you? Still want to pursue this, or?
I think they explained it, I just need the information.
Okay, so, go ahead, Alderman Davis.
Alderman.
So can we still take the funds from Jay's position?
We actually need that. I mean, even with Jay's position filled, we were one less than previous. And we've asked everybody to pitch in at the office because we don't have a staff person in theory to work on special projects. Noah used to work on a lot of the special projects for us, to aid Linda, myself, and Todd on these projects. We have a mayor's representative on every RFP committee going on in the city of St. Louis. And if you ever look at our public website, you know, and so Noah does a lot of them. And we have a lot of things that we have to have that job assigned to, besides taking care of the normal processes and the special requests of the alderman. If I don't have Noah available, I can't respond to all of those things either. But right now, we're operating just with a chart, one less than before, and we will operate that way because I've got a commitment on the staff that, you know, they got to do it. And
So technically, you're already operating with one less.
right, on this, if you look back on page 5 and go to the column 1.
Two less if you include the grant positions in the
Well,
bottom.
yeah.
22, 24. So there's one less in general revenue and one less in the grant position.
Right.
So we're 2 less than we had last year.
And how much time is left on that grant position?
Well, those two expired. Patrick's, both of them, let's see, Patrick's
It was in the fall of last year, Patrick's expired.
and Christine Garmendia's expired 12/31.
Okay.
And we got the equities indicator baseline report out. We've made it available to all of you, and you know, hopefully you've looked at it. But there's a lot there that we need to coordinate to begin implementing to make a difference in these indicators and the outcomes that we're going to see in the future. And that's why we work so hard with the mental health foundation and the I'm trying to think of which the other group was that was funding that position. We had 2 funders that'll fund 2/3 of one of the positions, but the other grant position I don't have the money for.
Okay.
Anything further, Alderman?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman Vaccaro, any questions of the mayor's staff while you have him here?
I do, which we somewhat talked about. You know, why not move Scott Ogilvy into one of them? We created, or somebody created a position, not, you know, name, but $67,000 created a position, which comes out of the mayor's budget, as like a bike czar or something. Why not put him in one of those positions and we take that $67,000? I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean, although he was always talking about all the wasteful spending, and this seemed a little wasteful to me. But we're trying to find money for medicine, which I think is extremely important when the ambulances show up. We're trying to, at least I am, trying to find money for the breathing apparatuses, which we've already been sued over. You know, I get the fire department asking for a little over $300,000, and you know, everything counts. And why not move him into one of those positions rather than create a position that pays $67,000?
Well, 2 things. First of all, we had a person that did that.
And what did it pay?
Off the top of my head, not that much, but his name was Dennis Bogdanovic. It was in the street department. I'm sorry, where was it? It was in the street department. And it really should be a planning because it's the future. It's alternative transportation. What you have in Scott or Alderman Ogilvy, whatever you want to call him, incredibly talented. He's put in an inordinate amount of time and he's demonstrated to us that from a planning perspective, he's worth every penny that we're paying him.
He's got a degree in this. No.
I don't know what he has
doesn't
a
have a
degree.
He doesn't.
If I could, gentlemen, so that position was paying right at $61,000 last year, okay? And we tried filling that job, I believe 3 times. We've been trying to put a bike ped coordinator, you know, commuter, how you put all that traffic together, and we've never found the right guy, okay? And as far as it coming out of the mayor's budget, right now, we can take money from where the position sits over in planning and reimburse the mayor's office, okay? So it's not, there's no money there, okay? Until personnel catches up and gets us a good list, and we do some hiring, it's all gonna balance out. So it's not a great increase is what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't seem like a position and Scott's talented, you use in other positions that you say you can't fill. My argument still goes back to, is it a position that is absolutely necessary for the operation of the city?
Well, I could comment on that. You see these scooters all over the place?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do is coordinate the scooters and the bikes and the use of Metrolink. And these scooters have created some, liability, what's going on. It takes a lot of policing. And that's where Scott comes into play to work with these and police. And, he's working toward a public safety campaign to reduce some infomercials and try to get helmets on these people to be safe. And that's key, what Scott is working on now, trying to accomplish.
So, and this is just be my last comment.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, do we actually feel that that is more important than the firefighters going in and being safe, or the medicines? But that's okay, I'm sorry.
No.
It just seemed to me like what you were kind of cutting made sense. And, it's gone up to 5 of the special assistants from 3, if I look right. And I know that was one of the special assistants. So, when these guys were talking to Pam about what she was wanting to cut, you were talking about one position, but there's 5 positions that are in that. And that's one of them, and I thought, well, maybe that seemed like a place to go and move him somewhere else.
And that's just the personnel department's description of, a broad range of people that work.
So, but if we vote on Pam's amendment, cut to 50, whatever it was, it's either up or down, but it seems to me like there's 5 positions in there. Just my thought. Pam could do whatever she wants to do. She could either ask to vote on it, or vote up or down, or we don't. It's her call. That was just my only comment.
All right, anything first? Alderman Hubbard, do you have any comments?
Thank you for coming and clearing this up, because when we're looking at these numbers and you're looking at some of the salaries, it looks like there's a lot of fat around there in room 200, but not literally. But so it just puts everybody in an awkward space, because we all know what our needs are, and nobody wants to give up anything. So good luck with everything.
And those aren't the highest salaries in the city.
Oh, well, I know they're not.
No.
I know they're not.
Well,
I've been looking at them.
through that.
Okay.
All right. Alderman Murphy, anything?
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Spencer?
I have no questions either. I will say, though, that with regards to having somebody in city government who's dedicated to pedestrian and bike safety, I'm happy about that. We have 3 times the national average in pedestrian fatalities here in St. Louis City. Those are primarily, the victims of which are primarily people of low income and people of color. And it happens in lower income neighborhoods that don't have infrastructure and don't have adequate planning. We fail as a city to put planning as a top priority, and those most vulnerable among us are the ones that are most greatly impacted. And so I'm grateful that there's at least somebody out there paying attention to that. Whether they're in the mayor's office, I would prefer them to be in the streets department. Regardless of who it is, I'm grateful we have that position.
Anything
That's all I'll
further?
say about that.
All right, thank you. Alderman Oldenburg?
No questions.
No
I've
They ought
had
to
those
be in the
positions.
streets, that's my.
Okay.
I'm good.
Alderman Clark Hubbard?
No
All right.
question.
Okay. Alderman Barr, are you wanting to pursue this amendment, or? as
Yeah,
far-
I really would, because I keep hearing in my head, when the mayor kept telling me when we were having a conversation about the whole war reduction thing, and the whole conversation was, we don't have the census. And so, again, we have departments that are heavy, and we need to look at those departments and say, where do we need to cut to make sure that we are being respectful to the people of the city of St. Louis and working our budget to best of our ability. So I would like to get the information. I'm kind of questionable because it's a grant, and so I'm kind of figuring out, if you don't get this grant, so you'll only have 1 position, am I correct?
Right, well, and here's the other thing, and speaking of the census, that was another job that we dropped. We have to have someone designated from the mayor's office to coordinate the census and the marketing. I mean, it's more marketing to get our residents because it's so important to get everybody counted. But that was another thing that I dropped on Noah too, is to be work in charge of that with Emily, because we have to coordinate. This is, I mean, this is a really important job that we have to do, and that's get everybody counted. And it's special projects like that that we have to keep, people are gonna hold us responsible for, and maybe we don't toot our horns enough on all of the projects that we're doing, but what is that group called, Noah? The census group. The working group.
Oh, the complete counts.
The complete counts committee. And that's really important to all of us.
Okay, so, Alderwoman Davis, feel free. Go
I'll
ahead.
be real quick. The complete count committee is not inclusive if it does not include someone from this office over here. And that's one of the things I saw didn't happen in the last census, but it needs to happen now. And I agree, it's so critical. Actually, there's a whole group, a whole movement out here for people not to participate in the census. So we really have to be extremely active, and we all need to be included on a higher level than we've ever been included before. So if nothing else, tell us who the director is for the district office, but send us some information, okay?
Sure.
Whenever there are meetings, send it to us, because some of us will take the time and be present and try to help this effort.
Of course.
Okay.
So Alderwoman, I believe I heard you want to get some more information. You'd be want to we'll put amendment number 4 on hold at this moment, okay?
Thank you all.
We'll go back to,
Don't leave. Didn't you have another one?
no, the next one's a Prop P.
Okay.
All we have is
Oh,
Prop
yeah,
P.
okay.
Okay, so we have before us a copy of Prop P. If we read through it, will this let us know if we can or cannot do what we're doing? Have you been reading through it?
I have. I mean, what I would say is it's vague, so no surprise there, right? Providing revenues for public safety. That's line 8 is probably. But I did a control, search. Nowhere in here is fleet or
I
equipment.
agree with you. This
And
shouldn't have never
then
been out
down
there.
in line 18, providing revenues for the operation of the Department of Public Safety, which I assume it could fall under that. So what I'd like to do is, I wanted to bring this up this morning, so I want to pull these amendments.
Okay.
For right now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we'll hold those to a later point. And
This is for all operations. That means you can't mess with that now.
so at this point, we have no further amendments as far as reductions before us. We have a pool of $340,000 that we've created.
So you're
Because
saying
we're-
after that, you want to do somehow.
Wait a minute.
Well,
It's not going to be much. It's not going to cover anything.
So all we have over here in this pot is 340.
that's correct. The Special
Oh,
Events
yeah.
Office is
That's what I
$40,000.
said, yeah.
The reduced the demolition budget by 300. The Recorder Deeds Office amendment was on hold. We wanted to hear, as we discussed, that was a point where they combined or eliminated 3 positions and created a new one.
Does somebody come up like we just
But
did?
we have to contact them.
Yeah.
But we'll,
I'll be honest, I'm not interested in hearing recorded deeds, because that's a responsible way to handle a budget. You find the means within the budget to do what you need to do. So they eliminated some,
3 smaller jobs.
yeah, and then they decided this position would be more important, and we don't know what the tasks were that were included from those other positions. But if you manage your budget where it doesn't end up needing more money, that's a responsible way to handle your budget.
That's right. All I'm trying to do is find money to do
Yeah.
the different things we need
but
to
you know,
do.
it's kind of a blind grab. So
Yeah, I
we
mean,
don't
that's
know
the
the-
only thing that they
It's a
did.
position that's never been.
Well,
No.
No, I know that. Well, I'm aware of it over.
Well, they reduced
8 or 9
3.
period.
That
Right,
was
they
just-
got 3 or less ones, but it's a position that never
I
been
guess
there.
my thing, they reduced 3.
Yeah, I
Got
ain't
some
with
that
you.
ain't reduced none.
I'm not messing with that.
well, we can put it to a vote and kill it, or pass it, or what- you want to wait till I hear from the office?
It's up to everybody here. I really, it's, all I was trying to do was come up with And I was gonna also question Tom, that if he took $1,200,000 out of the police budget, no guarantee it was gonna go where he wants it to go.
That's so very true.
So if he takes that million whatever out, it may not go where he believes he wants it to go. I mean, and still keep in mind that whatever we cut, that doesn't make sense,
We need more money.
A&A will put that in.
No, I mean, as far as what I heard from last week, the things that we're looking for, we're probably in the area of, requires $1 million as far as needs. We're talking about the breathing apparatus, we're talking about the door-to-doors.
Well, and it seemed that nobody wants to go to door.
Well, but currently of that need, we have, less than half of that. And I have, no other.
Fire department.
Maybe we should look within our own
That's what we
budget
can look
at
for
some
now.
of the
I
positions
forgot.
we're putting on.
Well, you want to eliminate 14 aldermen this week?
We can't, I have no problem with that.
We can start right there. Today.
There you go. No, I mean, I know we're putting in, I know we could use a research assistant, but
Shuffle the money.
is Ann
Trying to add
position,
money today.
Gerard wants to speak on
Come up
it,
with
but
That should be it. You can't have more than one line item. So that has to
Tom
be
can
it.
speak on, Tom, you want to
What page is this?
I'm sorry, Joe, what was your,
maybe Tom could speak on some of
What they
the,
two-
I know we're putting like a research assistant in some other positions that we have, that we could use.
you're talking about on the president's staff, is what you're talking about?
I know, but
Yeah,
that's
on our
18.
overall staff.
19 and 20.
I'm just trying to find one.
That's what I'm saying.
And we've been without one.
I believe Alderman McCarr would like to question you about the budget of the president's
Where is
staff.
it at? We can't find it.
Tom, what I'm asking, apparently the mayor's budget is just, can't do without all these people, just impossible, so we won't run. I understand that. It's probably way more
Does it
important
fair
than,
for them to do what
well, Tom, and I'm being mean. Yeah. But, but, what seems more important to me is, and I'm only looking at our own budget again. Like the research assistant, is that something that, I know we really could use it,
So is it
even without it.
No,
Is that-
8.9.
I'm just trying to find one. And we've already looked within the mayor's budget, and the city will fall apart. We can't ever have a special event ever again.
Sure.
It's okay if the firefighters run the fire without breathing apparatus or shelter and medicine. We're looking within our own budget. I mean, can we get by without a research assistant for one more year?
Well, I think we kind of left that up to the clerk currently, who's been looking at all the positions. We posted all the vacant positions that we have. They've been going through the applications, and I do believe he has some plans and some need for that position. How it can help with the committees, keeping notes of the committees, doing minutes, which we're now doing for each committee meeting, and hopefully that's been helping everybody in the minutes that have been done. So they were looking at that position, performing some of those tasks.
I agree Terry's doing a wonderful job. But as we're looking outside to other departments, asking them, it's a position that we haven't had.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
We had it once, I remember Jennifer Franklin
Yeah.
performed those
She was
duties at one
short-lived.
point.
So-
Yeah, just about a year.
I surrendered that, I don't know what, if we can't look within ourselves and we can't look in the mayor's office, my idea of getting rid of the fire department, having one truck with running boards and everybody can jump on board.
Volunteer fire department.
Yeah, that's definitely out of the question. I thought one truck with running boards.
How much is the fire suppression?
Well,
Or
the fire
the
suppression,
breathing apparatus? Is that what we're looking for?
it is,
360.
yeah, it's in here somewhere. I have to find it.
He got it done.
Okay.
So,
360.
yeah, I mean, the drugs, I don't think they're important equipment, needles and stuff like that. They did me a favor, or probably didn't do the board a favor, but they managed to keep me alive. The board's fine afterwards. But 70,000 for the breathing apparatus, I would think that is extremely important. They would have to give me a better understanding about why the communication and why they haven't maybe even combined communications into one. But I don't know about that either. Health and safety, I don't know, but, the medicines and the breathing seem pretty important.
Oh, yeah, and of course, the President's office supports finding this money for this, and we'll definitely work to do it. I know there may be some cuts that get suggested from ENA when we make a response back. Some of the, I know as far as, I know the demolition fund was just cut.
Here's a cut for
But
it.
I know, there was some idea to maybe fund a program, a door-to-door program. But I know there is a fund where we collect money on vacant buildings against $200 a year, sometimes $400 a year. And that's money that could actually be used for that program as well. So we'll work to find the money. I don't know if it'll come from the board of aldermen or not. We're one of the most understaffed branches of government.
My thing was, if we're looking at a fairness,
We should all be looking at that.
we need to look within too.
Sure.
And I strongly believe that the cuts to the mayor's office, given the importance of one thing versus another, should have been, I would have voted against. I think looking within our own budget, but these are opinions and really.
Okay, all right, we can go around the horn. And Alderman Davis, any questions of Mr. Shepherd while he's here?
We need more money for staff.
Okay.
How do you propose to find
All right.
that?
Would the clerk, Mr. Kennedy, like to join Mr. Shepherd in case we have any questions? So if we're talking about the staffing of the board, we'll have them both available for questions. All right, Alderman Hubbard, any questions of the clerk or Mr. Shepherd?
No question.
All right. Alderman Murphy?
No questions.
Okay. And Alderman Spencer, you had
I had no questions, but I wanted to mention, as you were talking about this need for $70,000 for the breathing apparatus, as it pertains to the vacant building fees and fines, if we are able to implement this door-to-door crew, Mr. Oswald indicated that he thought that we would be able to generate $50,000 to $70,000 in additional fees and fines out of that. So perhaps some of that money, or the entirety of that money, could go to fund.
So
It would be new money generated from the door-to-door crew.
also, we're just doing cuts out. If you're proposing to put that to the building, so that would be, then when we come back, we're going to put that, so you could take any amount of this 300 and put it into.
In order to run an effective door-to-door crew, you need around $300,000. What I'm saying is that door-to-door crew, by way of issuing fees and fines to vacant building owners, should generate between $50,000 and $70,000 of additional new revenue. Remember, the point of the door-to-door crew is not to fee and fine people, but it's to get people into building code compliance, which would actually help to reduce the strain on our fire department in a general sense by reducing some of the fires associated with
So in order to
unsecured
include that in the
vacant
budget, that would require, I think, the budget director to revise his revenue estimate to include the possibility of that money
Okay.
to make a budget balance. I don't know if that's something that.
I'm mentioning it as a possibility, that's all at this point. I would also like to reiterate the Alderwoman from the 19th, we do need more staff here at the Board of Aldermen, and I would hate to see us cut our budget to make up the difference, because we're already so understaffed, and our staff is so underpaid and underappreciated and receives a very little amount in the way of professional development. It makes it very, very hard to operate. We're the only legislative body I'm aware of in the world that has, as little staff per electeds as we have here. We have one lawyer for 29 of us, which makes it very, very difficult to get any amount of research done. Cutting the research assistants would only put the burden on our clerk and the other staff that's here, it would be, make these jobs even more difficult, more strenuous to do. So I'm just voicing my opinion on that, and that's all.
And I don't disagree. What my argument was, even like in your home budget, you know, sometimes you don't get to go on vacation or replace an icebox or something, but I'm just saying if we're looking in other departments, we certainly should look within ourselves.
All right.
I would agree if we weren't so understaffed as it is.
Or just spurting
Oh, no,
opinions.
I mean, that seems to be the
Thank you, Mr.
general
Chairman.
consensus. I just,
All right.
I
I
appreciate
just
it.
threw it out there.
Okay, Alderman Boyd, any questions of the clerk or Mr. Shepherd while we have him here?
I just can't see messing with what we're doing, because we don't have what we need in the first
Sure
place.
does.
All right,
We
okay.
don't even have a color copy. You know,
Yeah,
that's so
we don't
sad.
have anything, so I'm just
Never seen
like,
nothing like it.
All right, Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions?
No question.
All right, okay. All right, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Shepherd, I believe you're excused. But stay close just in case.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, before you, we have amendment number 7 introduced by Alderwoman Davis. It's on page 262 of your line item book in regard to the police department.
it's 265.
Is it 265?
Five?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's why I said I couldn't find it.
I'm sorry, that was me.
265,
I'm
okay.
writing too fast.
Okay, the line item is 517-2124. So you're talking about a $1.2 million reduction from 8.9 to 7.7. This is in regard to what is the,
So then this is just running all the way around then.
Huh?
That's not where I'm, no, I
It
was
was
right.
260.
262?
It's 262.
All right.
That's
Other
not,
numbers wrong?
it's
You
262.
were wrong once, but you were mistaken.
Yeah, it's 262.
So,
It's 262.
So it's a different line number?
Yes, it's 262 because it encompasses the whole thing.
This number is different.
Yeah.
517200.
Let's go to page,
517-2124.
yeah.
it's 517-2124.
I don't know what I'm doing right now.
That's on 265.
262.
262.
This number is
This
wrong.
should have
It
been the
be 517200.
5172000.
Oh, so the line item.
000.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get it right eventually.
Yeah.
5172-000.
Okay.
Overtime has always been a problem,
Right.
okay? And no matter what the dollar amount is budgeted, it's either going to more than likely go over. But I think that one of the things that we're trying to work on is to try to have less overtime by doing some things different as far as community policing and some other things that are being considered. And so I feel comfortable reducing that amount at this moment and have those funds available for a couple of the other items that we looked at here, and also have some funds available for cure violence.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
You say 262, there is no overtime, overtime being funded on page
Y'all,
262.
you all should have left me alone, because I had it right. I really had it right.
5172000. That line.
No, I had it right. I was looking at it. I know, I had it right. Here it is.
So what is it?
Commissioned overtime.
Just hold on a second. Here it is. Right here. Commission overtime.
So what page?
Okay, so
It's just the
259.
page number that's wrong.
I'm writing it all over again.
All right. So it's 259?
I'm gonna write it all over
59,
again.
and the
The
item,
only thing is
The only
just
thing wrong is
number.
page number, yeah.
That's it.
Page number is 259. That's the only thing wrong.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
only thing wrong.
All right
All
then.
right, so it's still line item 5172000.
5172124.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the commission overtime.
we're back to the original line item.
Yeah, back to what I had. Yeah.
It was just the wrong page. That was
Just the
all.
wrong page number,
Oh.
okay. So, if you,
259.
59. It's 5172124. For commission overtime.
so when you look over what was requested and what was budgeted, that's still an awful lot of money for overtime. And what was actually used last year was 8 million too. That was a crazy time. There were a lot of things going on. But things are calmer now. We anticipated staying that way. But if we include some more grassroots community policing, I think that this will reduce even more. So what we need to do is reduce that over time so we can have some funding to do some things differently. As I stated before, the police need help.
Right.
We're asking them to do things that they were never trained to do. And so we shouldn't be asking or expecting them to do those things. And I'm making some funding available so that we can do things that have been proven around the country that actually reduce crime, and you have better community and engagement with your police officers. And that's critical for us. So let's try that. And we always know that if for some reason there is some additional overtime money needed, we always find it. Don't we, Al?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alderman McCarthy, any questions of the sponsor of Amendment 7?
Not a whole lot, really. And I understand that it's gonna be available, it's not like they can't have it, even if they go over.
We're fine.
I understand that. I guess, I wish Tom was still in the room, because he had some thoughts that he wanted to use. You know, I wanna make sure, I'm all for, I don't know if we need to cut it that much, but I am all for a cut where we get to the money we need to do what we want.
And we know that 9 times out of 10, that'll be probably cut in half or whatever by the time he comes back, so.
Well, or maybe we, how much money are we actually looking for?
Well, again, from what I've heard from last week's meetings, we were actually under $1 million for what we're actually looking to, from what was proposed and asked of the things going through all the meetings, we were under $1 million as far as what people wanted to fund.
So instead of cutting it that drastically.
Well, if this would pass and if this is again,
It's for negotiation.
it's
Right, no, I understand.
yeah.
I understand. I was just asking maybe if we,
You're just looking to end the meeting early. I know.
no, reduce it by a lesser amount, to still come up with $1 million. We got 340. Maybe we only really need to do it.
Slow
Maybe
down.
we really only need to reduce it to say 700,000.
Well, we still, is the communication request added into that amount of money we're looking for?
There's a communication, there's a request for excise, the firefighters, and for the door-to-doors. And I think it totals out right around 1 million, maybe a hair over.
Okay, so we need to leave it at this amount.
But we can, because again, there's no other proposals before us
Yeah.
that we're visiting.
And like we said, when they go to E&A, it's probably
It's
gonna
gonna be
move,
cut in.
yeah, they gonna change it.
But did you have questions, Mr. Oldenburg?
No, I was only concerned if, I think that's the same place you were wanting to take from to do your retention.
What's been proposed, have you got Marlene's amendment? For
I do, I
Okay,
do.
this is in regard to overtime, stating that last year, as requested 8.9 this year, last year they used 8.2. She's proposing reducing it down to 7.7. Joe's mentioned maybe just driving it down to 8.2. But apparently, that was his question of you.
Well, it's targeting the same way he was targeting.
Right, but it looks like this was coming out of a different fund, right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
This is not property.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one other thing. I would feel more comfortable if we dropped it just a little bit more to make it more in line with
Okay.
what we're looking for.
Okay, so no direct question then,
No
all right?
direct question.
Okay, and we'll go to Alderwoman Hubbard. Any questions of the sponsor?
No question.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Murphy, any questions of the sponsor?
No questions.
Alderwoman Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this would just be a reduction of 1.2 million in overtime
Request.
request?
In OT.
Will this result in, what kind of reduction in
Staffing.
coverage and staffing will this?
Shouldn't be any. So it is anticipated that it will be needed for that much in overtime. But some of the things, and I just listened to the judge the other day on 2 different occasions at 2 different events, talking about the new things that they're bringing on board for assistance for the police department. And so I don't believe that all of this overtime will be required. And then we're wanting to bring in Cure Violence as well to work in communities, and that should also help reduce some of the overtime that's required. Because a lot of times we've been adding police officers just because people want them sitting on corners. And that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So as we operate differently and as we put more resources there, some federal resources are coming in, some state resources are coming in, we won't probably need as much overtime. And if we stay calm this summer, everybody in the university is listening. If we stay calm this summer, that's where a lot of that overtime went to the last couple of years. So we can pray for that.
Is there more, I mean, it was the 1.2, is this a figure that the police department feels comfortable? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. I'm really grateful to hear that we can make this kind of cut and that we're shifting resources, especially if we can start to fund Cure Violence and other proactive rather than reactive public safety measures. I'm just wondering if there's more room in this, or if this is the ceiling, or how we kind of came to the one.
Well, what I did was I looked at the previous years, and I kind of remember in my head, because I've been sitting here for a while on this committee, what was more likely to take place. And so I didn't go too far over that.
Makes sense. I appreciate the explanation, Mr. Chairman, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll come back to you, Alderman Carl, we'll go around the board one more time. Alderman Oldenburg.
Your thinking on this cut, Alderwoman, was just based on that you think that they'll need less overtime?
There's a strong possibility. If we get all the we are getting a lot of new assistants, and a lot of the overtime was used on the unrest that we had. And so I'm thinking that we're not going to be as needing that much overtime. And if we get all the assistance and we get all the additional things that we're talking about doing, I think we could see that number be reduced. But irregardless, one of the things that we are very good at is if the money is needed later on, probably not all of this. If you just need another 100,000 or something like that, we'll find it. 100, 200,000, we'll find it. We're not going to not have policing happen when it's needed.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
My only concern would be, I'm sure this was in consultation with Judge Edwards and the police department, as well as the chief on where who are much closer to kind of the needs of overtime to cover staffing.
And this will
Would
go
they
back to
project
E&A again, and so they will surely cut it.
I understand this.
Yeah.
I would be opposed to this, and I would object to this and vote no to let my committee members know that.
Okay. No further? All right. Alderman Boyd, any questions of the sponsor?
I feel that, and that, Joe, you could probably answer this. Even though the recommendation is for the cut, the police are going to figure out a way, because they'll do the overtime.
What my concern, and I don't disagree, I'm thinking it should be a lower number, because what's going to happen, overtime isn't just there's riots or just whatever. Overtime is when I call and say, look, they're speeding up and down Watson Road, and because every time somebody calls me, I always think someone's going to get killed. They can't get hurt or maimed, they got to be killed. And when I call, that's when they'll put a police officer out, and I'm sure we all do that. And they do that on overtime. If we cut that budget, they're liable to be snarky and say...
They don't, that's not how we operate. Now, I've been an intimate part of
I
that
was
police
like, I
department.
don't think the police
That's not how
do
we
that.
operate.
Because
No.
one thing about the
You
police,
don't call the
no,
police
one
when
thing
you're
about.
trying
But that's not how they
No,
operate.
They don't-
They don't do that.
they don't send somebody out.
They're gonna make
No.
that overtime happen regardless, Joe.
I'm just saying,
That cut is not gonna
Maybe
impact
that's
them
how
one
they
way
do
or
it
the
in the
other.
23rd, but that's
Yeah,
not
they'll
how
do it
they're
in
doing
my
it in the
ward.
all
20th.
I know is they always tell me that they have to get a certain amount of overtime approved. I'm just saying what they tell me. And that's how they do that. I also know that if, and of course, I'm sure it's just the police side, but, you know, on the dispatchers, they're on 12-hour mandatory overtime, because they can't get enough dispatchers. And there's a charge. I don't know that I can support the 1.2 million. I could probably support more like 700, you know, what I think we honestly need that I could justify and say, look, this is money that,
Well, I can go with that.
yeah.
You would like for it to be lower?
I would like to be, but that's just, you know, that's me.
So,
I'm only one.
what we're proposing is changing it from a 1.2 to a $700,000
I
reduction?
can live with that. Because we'll still end up
700,000
getting what we
gives us,
want.
gives us that $1 million.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
700,000 gives us the million.
Okay.
So-
And
Say what?
I'm
Okay.
sorry. So if we did 700,000, it gives us the million. The fire department, AO sent the message over by way of whatever time, that even if they got half of that 300, like 150, that would satisfy their needs, and then just like and 50 million for the rest. So that, in my mind, is still.
So a cut of 700,000 with the 340 we've cut would give us, you know, 1 point, you know, yeah, so we're within the realm of what
Can
we're
you live
looking
with
for.
8? How about that? Can you live with 8?
Well, watch the Pawn
I
Stars
was
now.
thinking.
Yeah, let's live with
I was
8.
thinking 7
With what?
would be.
Because you know what,
800.
Joe?
800,000.
She's changing her amendment to a reduction of $800,000 as opposed to 1.2 million. The $800,000 in combination with the 340,000 we've already allotted, if this amendment would pass, would give us the little over $1 million that we're searching for to
Yeah.
fund the
Fund these very-
additions we're looking for.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
okay, and so we are at Alderman Barton, anything further?
That's what they say.
All right, thank you. Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions? My, because currently we are still, what, 135 to 140 officers down?
Yeah.
And the salary allotted for them, is that being used for the overtime?
Yes, it
budget
is.
at this
Yes,
time?
it is. That I do not for.
Yeah,
So that's why I feel comfortable doing this.
So we have the means,
Yeah.
let it be known that I feel we all do support the police.
Oh,
This is-
199%.
This
Say that
is, this
again,
is
Joe.
nothing at
Say it one
all.
more time.
We're only looking
They
for
know
money.
I love them. I've gone on and
Right,
sworn many
that's
times.
We're looking for money to help
Yes.
the fire department, to help the excise commission, to help some other points. So this is by no means anything, it's a proposal that we still have to send to E&A,
Right.
and that we'll do. So if there's no further questions, entertain a motion to, we'll have to take a roll on amendment number 7 to reduce the overtime budget by $800,000. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Pass.
Alderwoman
No,
Powell.
make it an aye. I'm sorry.
Bite the bullet, Joe, bite the bullet.
Make it an aye. No, I'll be an aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
No.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Balmer.
Aye.
8 aye votes and 1 no vote.
Okay, I have no further amendments as far as reductions before us at this time. We have passed out all 1 and 2. Alderman Barter, we still holding on to amendment number 4? You want further information from me
Sure.
on that? So we'll keep that on hold. And Alderman Oldenburg, you have 5 and 6. Are you still willing to pursue these?
No.
Okay, so amendments 5 and 6 will be dropped. And we have just passed out Amendment 7.
So how do we want to do them? Put-
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
my amendment to cut the
where do you
demo
want this money
budget.
to go back?
We did that.
we passed that before you arrived.
We did
I'm
it.
sorry, I was.
Oh, I didn't get
Well,
it. We didn't.
if you'd like to speak on it, you can, but we've already been through there.
We've done it.
Okay.
Done good.
So at this point, we're going to take a little lunch break and come back afterwards and start to create the wants. I'm
Well,
sorry.
it's up to him. When do you want us back?
When do I want you back?
Yeah, You're the teacher.
It
here.
is basically 11:37. We'll be back here about, about 12:30.
How come you don't have lunch here and we just
It's
have a
over there
working
waiting for you.
lunch? Well,
Over
that's
there.
need
I
to
was
be
like, well,
right.
he said that the other day, he said, I'm gonna have to supply y'all with lunch. He did.
Oh,
he
I
did.
did.
So it's
I-
over
I requested
We like children, you
That's
can be hard to get us that.
All right, so tell television we're taking a break. We'll resume at 12:30.